I'm currently behind the wheel of the 2021 BMW M3 Competition, and I wanted to take some time to showcase the interior of this thing. So starting as I normally do, starting from left to right, or on the left, you've got your normal window switches, you got rear mirror adjust, you got your door locks up here, you got your door latch, you've got some presets you can set for the driver seating situation. Down here, you've got a latch for the rear trunk. Up to the right of that, you've got buttons for different lighting as well as auto, and then you have a little adjustment for the dimness level of the gauge cluster. Moving to the gauge cluster, it is a full digital crisp clear display, and it basically can be switched between two different layouts. So this is the general road going layout, which is much like in normal BMW 3 Series, but with a flip of a button, you have this more sporty, performance-oriented screen, which is unlocked when the M mode is in Sport and Track, and I will showcase how to switch between the M modes when I get to the center console. So this screen, in my opinion, is a better looking screen for an M3. It switches it up to a more sporty look, where you have the tack on both sides as bar graphs. 0 is where your miles per hour is displayed, as well as what gear you're in, displayed nice and big. Over on the right, you can customize what you place there based on a button on the steering wheel, which I will show you in a moment. But you can see total miles, the tire pressure and temps of each tire, the temps and the PSI of the turbo, the pound-feet of torque and the horsepower in a live gauge, a G-force meter, what you're currently listening to, showcasing what different options are selected with the M button. You have blank, and miles per gallon gauge, and back to normal. So anything I just displayed here can also be displayed on the left, but you must go into the navigation screen to the different settings to adjust that. But things on the right can be changed by the BC build computer button located behind the left downshift paddle. And moving to the steering wheel where that paddle is located, you got a downshift paddle and you got an upshift paddle. In front of those paddles you have M1 and M2, which can be customized, and I'll showcase that, what you can change and how they're customized. But basically you can just push it and it'll display what M mode you're in. So that's M1, M2 is displayed. Some other buttons on the steering wheel is a whole bunch of cruise control buttons over on the left. Down low in the middle, you've got a heated steering wheel button. Over on the right, you've got your normal talk buttons, tuner button, and volume control. Moving up to the navigation display, we go to the home screen. So this is the home screen. Displays basically a little map section of where you are, what you're listening to, and if you have a phone connected. But over on the left, you've got the different pages of the infotainment system. So media showcases obviously what you're listening to. Com, there will be no phone connected, but this is what the different screens you have. So contacts, telephone, mobile devices, BMW Assist, BMW Messages, Nav, basically map, car. This is where you can begin to see all the different features and settings and sometimes screens of the vehicle. So driving information, you can see trip data, sport displays I personally like, so you can see the boost in PSI, temps, torque and horsepower displayed up here. For a passenger can also see it, whereas the little gauge on the information cluster, it's mostly for the driver, but this kind of presents it for anybody in the vehicle to see. Energy flow, then you have the M menu, and this is where you can configure your M buttons. So I'm just going to go and configure M1. This is what I have personally configured M1 to be. So engine can be switched between efficient, sport, and sport plus. I have chosen sport plus. Transmission can be switched between 3 different options in both the regular drive mode and S. So I have it in the 3rd option, the most aggressive. So 1 is least aggressive, up to 3. And there's also a button on the shift knob, which I will showcase, which you can adjust this on the fly. The chassis can be switched between comfort, sport, and sport plus, which I have sport plus, more aggressive mode. Steering, I have it in comfort, but it can be switched between comfort and sport. I prefer a more comfortable steering situation. I do not want the car to pretend like it does not know how to steer. Any artificial steering input, I should say. Brake can be between comfort and sport. This currently has the optional carbon ceramic brakes, but it's a interior video I'm doing, but I'm just pointing out I would like to utilize all the performance of those brakes. The stability control I have on. Traction control is off. It's only possible if the DSC is off. It's basically kind of like a drift scale, if you have read that on the internet. The auto start stop I have off, and sound control, of course, is on. Now everything I just showed you can also configure for your M2 button. Heads up display can be configured. It's kind of hard to see, but right there. And you can configure the view for navigation. So you can configure for sport, road and track, the brightness level, the height, depending on your seating situation, rotation, instrument panel. This is where you're able to adjust options on the left, as well as right where it says limit. If I was on a road, it would tell me what the speed limit of the road is. You can also enable warnings when you're speeding and excessive speeding. This is that M-Drift analyzer that you can activate, and it will kind of gauge how good you are at drifting. I have not attempted to use it because this is not my vehicle. Now we're going to vehicle status, so you can see a live feed of what the vehicle believes the status of each item is. So currently the tire pressures are okay, engine oil level is okay, control messages okay, and there are no required services at this time, and it tells you when the next engine service is. Settings, so you got driver assistance, you can disable safety warnings, displays, you can adjust instrument panel control display, doors access, you can have comfort access adjusted for all these different options. Interior lighting, you can change the color. So right there is basically a line of a color, and you can change that. So let's change it to something else. Green. Changed a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell in the light, but I did change it. Climate controls. You can adjust the air quality, things like that. Key button settings. So if you're approaching the car, or for safety purposes, you may only want the driver's door to open, but in this case, all doors open. Carrying car. You can have different relaxing audio outputs, so vitalize and relax. Driver profiles. Currently don't have any profile listed, but you can personalize vehicle. You've got an owner's manual, notes. Then you have the apps. So these are all the apps that are installed on the vehicle. It's Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and the BMW store. That's pretty much everything going on in the navigation system. Down below that, you've got your hazards button, You've got some vents, you've got your HVAC controls, you've got this button for both passenger and driver. It doubles as a heated and ventilated seat button. So pushing that pops it up here, and you can select what level you want. So right now 2, 3. Down below that you've got different presets you can set for different stations. You also have volume control, you can turn that off. Tuner control over here on the right. Below that, this is a hidden cubby hole, which reveals a charge pad, USB port, 2 cup holders, and a old school 12-volt cigarette plug right here. Behind that, you've got your gear shifter. Features M branding up top. Right here is where you can change the different transmission levels. So between the 3 that I mentioned, and the park button is right here. But it features reverse, neutral, drive, and sport. And then you can also select your own gears on the shifter right here, or up on the paddles on the steering wheel. Right here you've got traction control off, the parking sensors, the auto start stop. This is the nice red engine start stop button. Right here is the M mode button. So pushing this goes between road, sport, and to hold it for 3 seconds unlocks track, and then you must also confirm track with the iDrive dial, which I do not need to be, so I'm just gonna flip it back into sport. Behind the M mode button you have the setup button, which showcases what you have enabled. So right now these are the options that are basically key to my M1 button. And right behind that is an exhaust button. You may have noticed a little audible change. And then you have the auto hold button to save your right foot. You have a parking brake latch. And to turn it off, put your foot on the brake. Nice M3 Competition branding right here. Above that is the iDrive toggle. Features some quick buttons such as media, communications, home, map, nav, back, and option, as well as your app button right here. Behind that, you've got your armrest. Features USB-C plug right here, a little light. Glove box. Features Harman and Kardon speakers throughout the vehicle. Give you a look at the passenger door. This M3 features the sport seats with M3 branding up top. Features M colored seat belts. The rear also features those seat belts. No sunroof on this vehicle, but it does feature a carbon fiber roof. Lighting buttons and SOS. But that is the interior of the 2021 BMW M3 Competition. If there's some feature on the interior I didn't go too in depth on and you want some more details on, drop a comment down below and ask a question. I'll try to get you an answer for it. Thanks for watching.